$700 a month was a rent payment. Remember that? Okay, that kind of dates us. Okay. I got a call this week. Actually, we trimmed trees for somebody also this week. She told me she lives over by First and Dianthus in Manhattan Beach. Said that her water price of her water for the month there in Manhattan Beach was $700. And she has it's not even a 50 by 150 lot. It's a smaller lot. So I thought, you know what, we got to do something. So I started getting into drip irrigation, native gardens, and I started making a difference that way. I talked to Carol Kwan. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of her. She's the elected official to the West Basin Water District. And she told me this. She said, Mike, we have put in all the low flow toilets, all the shower heads that are low flow. We've done all that. She said about 65% of the water that goes into your average residence goes to the landscape. We need to work on that. So they've been implementing programs about water conservation, things like drip irrigation, native gardens. That's fine and dandy. And then who remembers last November, Prop 37? Some people really in the know here. Okay, it was on GMO labeling. Is anybody familiar with GMO labeling, or why that's even a big thing? You know what? If you're not, I suggest you Google Dr. Oz GMOs, and you know everybody trusts Dr. Oz. Okay. Well, interesting thing, there's so much out there on GMOs, and the bottom line, it boils down to this. About 20 years ago, GMOs were introduced into the population. Before 20 years ago, they could tell, it was down to science, how many people in the U.S. would come down with cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes. I mean, they had down science. As soon as the GMOs were introduced, this thing just escalated like crazy, and the only thing they did different, they surmised after 20 years, is the GMOs. So guess what? 20 years ago, EnviroscapeLA landscaped the Manhattan Beach Botanical Garden, which is an all-native garden. We have drip irrigation there, we have native plants, and 20 years ago we were green before it was full. I remember back then telling City Council that, hey, we need to do this because we live in a desert, and they're like, water's cheap, are you kidding me? And they thought it was foolish, but we forged ahead and we got it done. Today, it's just norm that you want to say water. Why? Because water prices are going up. Well, couple that with the GMO thing, and what you're going to find is that GMOs, the missing piece of the puzzle is this. How do you grow food? Because people, you know, the stuff you get at the grocery store, you know that residue that you get, that white residue? You wash your lettuce off, you wash your squash off, you notice that white residue? Guess what? From a landscape perspective, I can tell you this, it's sprayed with pesticides, okay, and you really think that washing it off is going to do anything? I'm here to tell you it doesn't. They spray the stuff on there to stick. Monsanto and the other companies, Dow, they have the stuff to make it stick. You wash it off. What, do you think that they really want to put something, pesticide on there that's going to wash off next time they irrigate it? Of course not. So you're not washing this stuff off. It sucks into the food. When you get a piece of lettuce, I challenge you, put it in a glass of water, put some pink food coloring there. Look at what it does to it the next day. So you're going to end up with some pink lettuce. That's pesticides, chemicals, herbicides that we're consuming. And then people are wondering, oh my God, I just came down with cancer. So these are things that we really need to think about. How do you know the food that you eat is really safe? You don't. So my suggestion is grow your own food. How are you going to do it though if you live in an apartment, you live in a condo? I ran into the tower gardens over here, and I think they're fabulous. They're really rocking my world. A little story about the tower garden. I actually bought one. I put it up on my upstairs deck because it was all self-contained. I thought it was a gimmick. Okay, I filled it with water, did what they said. I plugged it in, planted it. Literally, I forgot about it. 3 weeks later, I don't have pictures here, but I have them in my truck. 3 weeks later, that thing was just this gigantic green thing. Couldn't even see the power. Okay. Food without chemicals and pesticides, and that really got me thinking, you know what? I think we're onto something here, because it has 20 gallons, it recycles the same water over and over again. So you get something out of it, it's interactive, it's great because for schools it teaches kids that food comes, you know, it doesn't come from Albertsons, you got to grow it. You should be growing your own food. If you don't have land, you can do a tower garden. If you do have land, you can, you know, it's important to learn about composting, and it's important to learn about worms and mycorrhiza and mycelium, and these are all like technical terms that you know, people want to eat the steak, not see how the cow's killed, and so I won't get into that stuff. But it's good to know. It's good to kind of educate yourself a little bit of this. Because of my pond world experience, I'm actually experimenting and doing R&D with aquaponic systems. This is pond water that's used. Where do you, in a 3x3 space, where can you grow 50 heads of lettuce in a 3x3 space contained? You can do it if you're a pond guy, and you know, okay. But even this is the wild, wild west, folks. I'm not, you know, I don't have all the answers, but I'm here to kind of share what I have. And so, like I said, every month I'm going to be, you know, focusing on like new elements of the thing called sustainability. Drip irrigation. When it comes to drip irrigation, who here has heard of drip irrigation? Okay, is drip irrigation a good thing? I wholeheartedly believe it is. I didn't believe it was before. I'll tell you why. Because when root systems would, you know, drip irrigation, well, you want to grab me a, yeah.